Hello everyone and welcome back to Stefan's podcast, the only podcast for everything Japanese news, Japanese myths and Japanese scary stories. Coming from Tsushima, Japan. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. We have got some great news stories, some great scary stories for you. So let's jump straight into them. In today's episode, I have got the origin of the word Kowai and the yokai myth behind it. I have got a very scary, allegedly true story of a man who went to a haunted hospital, and of some things that happened after that, let me tell you, is not very good. We then have a load of Japanese news stories for you. We have the news story of Vietnamese people coming to Japan and bringing in a ton of imported rice and trying to sell it off as Japanese rice and making a little bit of cash doing it. We have how Japan seemed to have a hatred for penguins at the moment. Recently, they tried to get rid of the beautiful Don Quixote mascot and change it into more of a corporate look, and that was shot down. They're now going after Squeaker's mascot. They're trying to change him and turn him into something else. I don't like it. Every penguin is not safe at the moment from the Japanese people. We've got a lot going on today, so let's strap in and let's go through our first little scary story for you. So, our yokai of the week, or our old Japanese myth of the week, is about the story of Kowai. Now, Kowai is the word in Japanese for scary. And don't you get that mixed up between Kowai and Kawaii, because the girl that you're talking to at a bar will be like, what the fuck is he saying? But there we go, that's a story for another time. Though, the word of Kowai first appears in an encyclopedia of ghosts published in 1841. Its name is written with the kanji meaning fox, person, and strange. One way it can be translated is as a weird fox person. Now, according to that book, the yokai actually came first before the word. So the word kawaii isn't the word for scary, it's actually the name for this Japanese myth, which I like that piece of the yokai story very much. I think it's a very cool fact. Now, the Kowai is a ghost of a gluttonous person who has taken their love of food into the afterlife, transforming into a dark, evil yokai. Their appearance is that of a putrid human with fox-like features, bloodshot eyes, sharp teeth, and a long, drooling tongue. These yokai are often found at night. They will eat any bit of food they can get their claws on. They will rifle through garbage pails, knock down food stalls, and attack food vendors late at night, eating whatever scraps they can get their hands on. Now, it's not uncommon for these spirits to be found eating any sort of mouldy trash. Whatever there is, they will eat it, even if it's completely rotten. Quite a scary story. Now, I wanted to find a short story written by someone about a kawaii. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one today, which is a bit of a bummer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my own little short story about a kawaii, and then I'm going to put it into next week's episode, because I think that will be a lot of fun. And I might actually make that a regular part of the show. This is officially Stefan's podcast season 2. I'm changing up a load of things and I'm putting in more Japanese scary stories. Why? Because I like them. And what I'm going to do in that is every week I'm going to do a Japanese myth, a yokai, and then I'm going to do a scary story from the recent years, or just a scary story that's come out from Japan. And unfortunately there was no short story for this, so next week I'll write it and I will tell it to you, the listener, and hopefully you will enjoy it. But now we're going to jump to our scary story of the week, and this is titled The Group Photo. 4 years ago, in the summer of my third year of college, my 3 friends said to me, let's go somewhere haunted. I had met these friends at university. All 3 of them liked visiting haunted places and often went together. I had never been to a haunted place before, and this was the first time they had invited me. You see, reader, I'm a coward. I knew I shouldn't go somewhere like that, but I didn't want my new friends to think less of me. At 9 p.m, we headed to the haunted spot in my friend's car. My friends were laughing, saying nothing will show up like usual, but I had this uneasy feeling. I wish I could have brought myself to say, let's go home. But even if I did say that, no one would have listened. The moment I stepped out of the car, I got goosebumps. My whole body got tense and started trembling, and I felt this overwhelming heaviness. My friends, on the other hand, seemed completely fine. They noticed me shaking and started teasing me. Haha, look how scared you are. Look, you're trembling. The haunted place used to be a hospital. Even my friends, who are usually fearless, took one look inside the windows and said, you know what, let's not go inside here. Honestly, I felt a little bit relieved, but I couldn't stop shaking. They began taking photos of the building and the surrounding areas with a disposable camera one of them had brought. Hey, let's take a group photo here, he said. I didn't want to, but I was forced to join in. After that, my friends grew bored and said, this isn't fun, let's go home. Nothing unusual happened that night, and we had a good time after. A few days later, one of them contacted me and said, the photos from the other day are ready, let's go and pick them up together. When I saw the photos, I was left speechless. In the final group photo, we were all there, but behind us were the ghosts of men and women. Standing by our shoulders, they were looking at me and laughing. None of the other photos showed up anything else strange. I felt sick. I threw all the photos away. A few days later, I'd moved on, trying my hardest to forget about the photos. Then one night, around 10 p.m, I went to bed. As I was drifting off to sleep, I suddenly felt a heavy weight on top of me, as if someone was on top of me. The memory of that incident came flooding back. Terrified, I opened my eyes. A pale woman was standing there, laughing at me. I was so frightened that I fainted. When I came to, it was the morning. No one was there, and I went to college as normal. I thought maybe it must have been a nightmare, but my friends, they never showed up at college that day. Later, the next couple of days, my teacher entered the classroom and told me all 3 of them had died that morning. They each lived with their parents and all of them had been found dead. The estimated time of death was between 2 and 3 p.m, the same time I was visited by the spirit. I believe that ghosts from that place had placed a curse on us. Why they had spared me, I don't know. I couldn't sleep the next few nights. I always felt someone was watching me. I did what anyone else would do. I found an exorcist. I was told by the man who performed the ritual that 2 spirits had been attached to me. Since then, nothing strange has happened, and I've been living a fairly peaceful life. I was told by the exorcist my friend each had 4 spirits attached to them. Those spirits, much stronger than the ones that cling to me. Why the spirits had spared me, he wasn't sure. Maybe they had wanted to watch me suffer, or perhaps they wanted to keep me alive as a messenger to warn people to never go to the hospital and to leave the dead alone, resting. To this day, I regret that I wasn't strong enough to stop my friends from going to that haunted place. I think of the days lost together and the lives that they will never have. Please be careful when visiting haunting locations. You may lose something or someone important to you. Or that was a banger of a story, if I say so myself. Not that I wrote it, but there we go. I did translate the story from Japanese, and some of the stuff. The problem when you translate some stuff into Japanese is it can be a little bit waffly. So I changed some very, very minor things in the story just to make it more listenable and make more sense. But that is a banger of a story. I have this week. I do have the link for this ghost story. If you want to give it a read, if you want to give it a listen, you can play it again here. I'll put it in the description of this video on the YouTubes. And that is our Japanese ghost stories of the day. That one was a banger. That's probably my favourite ghost story that I've had so far. I did like last week's one, but I think that one is much better. I especially like the ending of that. And I didn't see all his friends dying in the story. That was a big one. But now we've got the Japanese news story. But before we get into that, check this out. I've got a little mikan. Not any mikan. This mikan was plucked by my own bare hands in the bottom of Tsushima Island. And in the bottom of the island, there's this little village or town. It's probably not big enough to be called a town, but town, village, whatever you want to call it. that has a lot of mikan trees. So my whole school last week got to go and pick these from the tree. And I have to say, probably one of the best moments that I've had in Tsushima, getting to pick the trees, getting to see all the kids running around doing it. It was a real fun time. The only thing that did make me laugh, so we were given these sacks to pick the mikans in, and on the sacks they are labelled as 3 kilos, 3 kilogram sacks. And I was thinking, okay, cool. So I'm going around filling up my sack, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I start to get to the point where I'm like, okay, you're the only foreign one here, Stefan. You can't go around taking the piss and like filling this up to the max. Because, but by the way, this was a free trip. There was no money that left my hands, or I don't know if the school paid, but as far as I'm aware, it was a free trip for the kids off the local school who live in that town. So I was filling up my sack, and I got to the point where I was like, okay, don't take the piss anymore. Then I looked around at the other teachers and the other students, and theirs are like even more full than mine. And I went, okay, we can get a few more mikans in here. So I fill it up, and we get back to the end of the trip, and they have a scale at the bottom of it. And I was thinking, oh no, here we go. So I put my one on the scale. It comes up to double what the bag is rated for. Mine was a 6 kilo bag of mikans, little oranges. And everyone else's bag was like 7-8 kilos. And I was just laughing at that bit. Really fun time. Next time I go back, going back into taking the piss mode, and we'll fill that up again. But actually thinking about it, that will probably never happen again, which is really sad, because that school is getting shut in April because there isn't enough numbers. That made me depressed. But that is one of the lifetime moments that will maybe never happen again. If I hope, fingers crossed, which they might not do, that little orchard might invite people from the next school over. But the only thing is, the next school over now is very big. It's like 80 students compared to the very small village school, which had about 10 students going there. So if you invited 80 people to come and do it, that would be a lot of oranges gone. So that probably will be the only time they do that, which is really sad. But there we go. But we got some news stories coming for you now, and we got about selling rice in Japan. So a couple in Osaka Prefecture are accused of selling 300 tons of foreign rice as Japanese rice. So a married couple in Osaka Prefecture who have been indicted, big word, indicted, for attempting to smuggle rice in Japan. You'd think it'd be the other way, wouldn't you? You'd think people would be trying to smuggle rice out of Japan, but there we go. They have been trying to smuggle it in, and what they are alleged to have done is to have disguised it as mung beans. How you can disguise it, I don't know. Maybe they were putting mung beans on top of the boxes, and then the rice was underneath. But they were making a pretty penny off it, allegedly. Their profits that they're accused of making is almost $1 million. So it was 130 million yen, roughly $835,000. A lot of money. I can see why they did it, because that is worth it. But in Japan, you can get a little bit more for premium for Japanese rice. I wouldn't have thought it is like maybe for a 5 kilo bag you can get 1,000 to 2,000 yen more, so £10 more than normal. Because recently we had the American rice come to Japan, and they were selling that at quite a bit of a discount compared to Japanese rice, but no one was buying it. And here's even the funny thing, I'm not Japanese, I'm not overly fussed where things come from, but when I saw American rice in there, I was like, I'm not buying American rice, I'm going straight to the source. I'm in Japan, I'm getting that sweet Japanese rice, because that is number one. And let me tell you, the rice in Japan, pretty good. Pretty good. One of the things that I would say I'm converted on. Any other vegetables and fruit, other than my mikans, of course, they're number one. I don't care where it comes from, and it's probably the worst thing about living in Japan is how expensive fruit and vegetables are. See, this 6 kilo, when I got 6 kilos worth of mikans recently, I got them for free. If I'd had to pay for them, it probably would have been getting up to 50, 60 quid for 6 kilos of mikan. Expensive. Fruit in Japan is very, very pricey. But our next news story coming out of the old Big Nihon is about penguins. So, recently, about a year, 2 years ago, Don Quixote was looking at doing a complete rebrand, and they were going to get rid of their beloved mascot, the penguin. And if you've ever been into a Don Quixote store, the best thing about Don Quixote is that little penguin, because there will be drawings of the penguins made by the staff who work there that have some really funny signs. I love going around it. Honestly, it's the best part of my day going into a Don Quixote when I get off the island, is seeing all the fun, unique drawings around it. I absolutely love it. But they were going to get rid of the penguin, but because of the amount of backlash that they had, that got scrapped. So they decided to keep the beautiful penguin, which I think is good. Now, Squeaker, which is kind of like the Oyster card if you're from the UK. It's basically a IC card, a pay-as-you-go card, and you use it for rail. You can also use it to buy other things, like vending machines. You can buy stuff from it, and I think in maybe some convenience stores you can use to pay with it. I never tried to pay with it inside a convenience store, but I believe you can do it. And they are looking at retiring their mascot, which is a little penguin on it. Allegedly, that was only meant to be like a temporary little mascot, and somehow it sort of got out of control and it became the unofficial mascot for it. But they're looking at getting rid of it, and there is some backlash to it. A lot of people are saying that they don't want them to get rid of the penguin. So we will see whether they crumble to the backlash like Don Quixote did. Personally, I don't see why you would get rid of the mascot with it. Is so like an iconic thing off the card. I don't even have a Suica card, but I know that mascot because of it. Why big companies feel like they need to screw around with the marketing stuff, I don't know. To me, chances are what's probably happened is they've got a new marketing team, probably fresh out of university. They want to make their own stamp on their company by destroying the beautiful penguin in the past. And if it's up to me, leave the penguins alone, because they've tried to come for Don Quixote, now they're coming for Squeaker. I don't like it, but what I do like is a little bit of tea. Oh, delicious. Okay, next news story is about chocolate. Now, this is a story that isn't from the Japan, but it was in a Japan newspaper, so it counts. This is found by the good old people back in the UK in the King's College London, which I got to study in for a little bit when I was trying to become an American lawyer. Didn't pass my tests, but I got to study in there, which was cool. Chocolate may have anti-aging effects, says a British research team linked between blood pheromone levels. If you're a doctor, I hope that's how you say that. Pheromone levels and aging. So apparently, the more dark chocolate you eat, it has an effect of slowing down the aging process, which in fact I believe, if you've ever seen that guy who's trying to live forever, the one on YouTube who has de-aged himself, I believe he has a little bit of dark chocolate in his diet as well, because I remember watching him and hearing him say that people think that there's a lot of health benefits from dark chocolate. So if that is, that's wonderful. Eat a little bit of dark chocolate, as much as you want. I'm sure the doctors will say in moderation, because everything is in moderation, and that isn't fun. Nothing fun comes from in moderation. Absolutely nothing. Nothing terrible. But there we go. Chocolate, good for you. Now, speaking of something that could be good for people on islands, is a passenger ferry in Western Japan is going to run anonymously in a world first. So a passenger ferry between Okayama and, I'm going to butcher the name of this island because this is a long one, Shodoshima Island, which I have never heard of until today. It's not like my beautiful Toshima Island, which is world famous thanks to a video game and also a book written by me, Stefan Jenkins, a fantastic book known as The Beauty of Japan, which you should definitely go and read. There's going to be a ferry that runs from Okayama to this little island, and I have to say, looking at the geography of where it is, this super makes sense because it is in the middle of Kansai and Shokaku. How do you? Yeah, Shikoku. God, I can't even pronounce my Japanese today. It's in between there, so it's actually kind of more in a bay than it is like inland. The distance is not very big, super short compared to Tsushima and Fukuoka. So this is a good place to start experimenting with this. One of the problems that a lot of islands are having at the moment, Tsushima included in this, is that there isn't enough ferry drivers or boat staff to operate their fleet. There's a lot of news stories that have been coming out recently about Tsushima, and they, I believe, are changing our ferry schedule on January the 15th because they're experiencing shortages in staff, and also the fleet that travel from Tsushima is getting a little bit old, and I wonder if that's starting to have an effect on it. I recently got stuck going from Fukuoka to Iki, going from Fukuoka to Tsushima story. The boat stops in Iki and then goes to Tsushima, and it broke down halfway through, and it was just an absolute nightmare. And it actually really put me off getting the jet foil again because the people who were trying to help us were not particularly nice. Not particularly nice. Could have done a lot more to help us in that event. And thank God I was with someone who spoke Japanese then, because if I wasn't, oh God, I would have just been screwed, because they definitely did not have much English support on that. I can tell you that now. But there we go. There's going to be an autonomous ferry, which I think is absolutely fantastic. It doesn't have a list of schedules on it, which is a shame, and how often it's going to be running a day. There are vessels that have been doing this. Some big commercial operations have been using for freight these sort of autonomous ferries. I'm very excited to see how they go. So hopefully it works well. I'm excited to see how that goes. I think it's really cool. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that works, and then we can get more ferries going from Tsushima or all these little islands to the mainland, because it is getting harder and harder to live on an island, I think. Just my experience in Tsushima the last few years, we've lost some ferry times, flights times have changed, and it's getting rougher and rougher as the population goes down. But there we go. Our next news story is about Japan's earthquakes, and recently there was a very big earthquake in the north of Japan, and schools are just starting to reopen after the 7.5 earthquake event. Luckily, there was no big tsunamis, and as far as I'm aware, there wasn't like catastrophic damage to any big places. So that was really nice. Very nice to see that. It could have been a lot worse. When you hear about earthquakes, you always get a little bit worried about them. But the school's going back into place, and I think they need to get back as soon as possible, because these students at the moment, this class, these group of kids, they've had their education so disrupted by COVID and one thing or another, and imagine if there's bears knocking around near the school as well. That's going to affect their learning. Oh man, I feel really sorry for the kids of today, because they've sort of got the short end off the stick of having their education affected. I think there's a lot of students who probably don't like school, and probably chances why they don't like them is because they've had such a weird education. But there we go. Next news story is about rents in Tokyo have been going up quite a lot recently, because even though Japan's population is going down, a lot of people are moving into the center of Tokyo, because that's where all the jobs are at the moment. And because of that, like everywhere else, London, you name it, the house prices have been going up. So they've been looking at the percentage of how much they've been going up in the last few years, and looking at some of these house prices in the last, say, 3 years, some of the house prices have gone up or sorry, not house prices, the renting prices for them have gone up almost 16% in the last 3 years, which is a significant a lot. Salaries in Japan certainly have not gone up that much, so it is getting expensive. It's still not expensive as living in, say, London. As far as I'm aware, there's still some a little bit more affordability. It is expensive if you live right in the center of Tokyo, but yeah, it is going up. So if you are thinking about moving to Japan, just note that. And the apartment that you might get might be very small. As this dental hygienist in the news story is talking about, they have a 1-bedroom room, which is, I don't know if you've seen these loft rooms. So they have like a sort of kitchen downstairs and a very small living room sort of place where you can have a diner table and maybe a desk there, and then you have your bedroom on a loft that you sort of climb up a ladder, and that's where your bed is, and you're literally like 2 feet from the ceiling. But apparently these apartments are selling very quickly in Tokyo, sorry, because there is a shortage of single person housing at the moment. So bit of a problem. But there we go. That's Tokyo for you. Now, talking about Tokyo as well, this news story is about how much the average person who lives in different prefecture makes, and there is a giant difference in the difference between Tokyo prefecture and all the other ones. So to give you a sort of clue, the average income per person in Japan is about 3.7 million yen, which is sounds good. To be honest, I wish it would be more than that because it's not overly high. But the average salary in Japan is 3.7 million yen, and the prefectures which are above that is about, was it 3.7? Wow, actually, amazingly, it is almost like bang on half of the prefectures earn more than that, and then the other half don't. So it's quite interesting. But the amount that you can earn, allegedly, if you live in Tokyo, you earn 7 million yen. So double the average. In at Aichi Prefecture, it's 3.8 million yen. In Ibaraki Prefecture, the average is I'm going to round up and say 5 million yen. And Shizuoka Prefecture, about 3.5. Guma Prefecture, again, a little bit lower, but 3.5. And then going Yamanashi is 3.3 million. Tomagachi, 3.4. It's interesting how, depending on where you live, it really affects your salary. Where's old Nagasaki Prefecture? Oh, wow, Nagasaki is down as one of the lowest. Oh, that hurts. So if you live in Nagasaki Prefecture, which I live in, your average is 2.5 million yen. Not a great salary, I have to say. What about, wow, Fukuoka Prefecture, I thought would be a little bit higher with that big city. That's 2.8. And believe it or not, how this is possible, I don't know. But Saga Prefecture, on average, earn more than Fukuoka Prefecture. When Fukuoka Prefecture's got the giant city there, Saga City has got a little city, which is really good. If you ever get a chance, go to Saga City. I really enjoyed it when I was there. Food was fantastic. Some of the best restaurants that I've been to in Japan. And I really want to go to their balloon event. They have a hot air balloon festival once a year, and I went to visit Saga Prefecture. I didn't know about this festival before then. The week after is when they were having the big balloon festival. I was absolutely gutted for it. But your next biggest, wow, surprisingly, you'd think Osaka would be much closer to Tokyo, being how they're sort of the two big cities, right? But Osaka is less than half of Tokyo, or about less than half, 3.2 million yen. Oh, unbelievable. Who earns more, Kyoto or Osaka? Let's have a look. I absolutely love these stats. Oh, Osaka people earn more than the old Kyoto people. Kyoto, you're poor. You're earning nothing. What about the old people of, what's the other one that's really close to Nara. Oh, Nara Prefecture. Being so close to Osaka and Kyoto, you'd think it'd be similar, but no, they're quite a bit different. If you live in Nara Prefecture, which is right next to Osaka and Kyoto, you earn on average 2.7 million yen. If you're in Osaka, you're at 3 point something, wasn't it? 3.257. Oh, you're 500 grand worse off, but maybe you're 500 grand a month more better in quality of life. Who knows? I did see, I think it was in Kyoto or Osaka, this really cool bar on Instagram, which is run by a photographer, which I really want to go to. They have all their pictures like laid out on the canvases. And speaking of that, I recently entered some of my photos in a photo competition, and I saw that they put up my pictures in the gallery. I didn't win the competition, unfortunately, but my photos were shown in like an art gallery or somewhere. I thought that's really cool. This is the first time I've ever had any work of mine shown anywhere, other than perhaps when I was 5. You know, when the school puts your picture on the wall. So I was like, hey, look at me. That was nice. But that's that news story for you. If you live in Tokyo, you earn a little bit of cash. Who would have expected that? Not me.